I've been on that side of the table where you're trying to move your chess pieces around and you don't have the tools you need. You don't have the resources to make the decisions or the knowledge. And I felt really powerless. And it was really a situation in my life where I never wanted to feel that way ever again. When I was growing up, money was never really a problem. My parents had the ability to make a ton of money, but they never had the ability to somehow keep it. And it just always felt very chaotic and very stressful. And unfortunately, my father got sick, and I ended up taking care of him for about a year. And when he ultimately passed away right before I graduated high school, we thought everything would kind of go back to normal, and he wasn't in pain anymore. We could get back to our lives. And there's something that happens when you lose a parent in terms of grief, of finding your new normal. And unfortunately, our new normal was navigating the financial stuff for him that was not set up. He had 2 financial advisors, and he had a trust. He had all the things and all the check boxes that you're supposed to have. And unfortunately, nothing was done or implemented correctly. And so at 18 and his eldest daughter, I was left trying to figure it out and navigate it all on my own. And that is really what propelled me into financial planning. And so the whole concept behind our full service firm is putting people above profits and making sure that people are in a better position after they've sat down with us, after they've gone through our process, to make sure that their money's not only taken care of, but also their families. We're all motivated by money. Money makes the world go round. We all have to make a living. But unfortunately, a lot of the financial firms, how they've been designed is asset gatherers. They get paid to gather assets. And because of that, it becomes very transactional in nature. And I had the amazing opportunity to grow up in some really phenomenal firms like Vanguard and Fidelity, where I learned a lot. Unfortunately, at some of these bigger institutions, if you're not compensated for it, they don't want you talking about it. And that's a huge missing piece. And so that's where, for me, my mission in leaving these big corporate firms and starting my own financial planning firm was to give my team and myself the ability to show up for what clients really need, which is not just somebody to gather assets and invest the money, which, asset management and investment management is certainly a huge piece, but there's a lot more to your financial house and holding up that roof than just what you're traditionally compensated for. I remember talking to my dad about various different ideas, and he had said, women have a unique ability to make and keep money, and you're gonna do really well if you go into finance. And he had told me that, and I remember he was so sick at the time, I kind of poo-pooed it, and then after he passed away and seeing how much wasn't done by his male advisors, thinking, okay, I can do this so much better. So often in life, we don't take risks because we're afraid of failing, or we're afraid of what that could mean. And I think as a woman in this industry, I've never been afraid of failing if it's failing forward. I think as people, we all have life ambitions. We all have family members we've lost. A lot of us have been fired from a job, right? And we think, oh my gosh, the only people that got fired were somebody who did something wrong. And that's not the case. And so, that was what happened in my situation is I was let go from a VP title, and I came home and I told my husband, I said, I think I just got fired. And he said, okay, well, what are you gonna do? I said, well, I'm gonna build it myself, and I'm gonna build it better. I remember I was about 1.5 years into running my own firm. I was still not quite back to making what I was. And I think so much in life we attribute to money, and we align our success. We define success by how much money we make, not the difference we make. And it's an easy trap to get into. It's certainly one that I personally have fallen into, especially because that's what I do, right? I'm the money girl. And so I think for me, the doubts in my own head were aligned with a definition of success that wasn't quite where it needed to be. And if I could go back a little bit, it would be redefining what success meant. And here I am 5.5 years later, and I'm making more money than I ever have. Everything is fine, and I've built the life and the practice that I've wanted to the right way, but it does take time. And that doesn't mean there weren't moments, especially in the bathroom. I don't know why, we always have those moments in the bathroom where, oh, should I just give up? Should I just walk away and go back to corporate America? And, is this all really worth it? And I think if we lean into what our true definition of success is, and we align that with what matters, and for me that was time with family, especially knowing that my father's time was cut so short, it was all there. It just took me a little bit to figure that out. One of the changes and shifts that I'm making, especially as a leader in my firm, is celebrating smaller wins and not being so focused on the future that we're missing what's right in front of us. You know, there's something to be said for you're exactly where you need to be right now, and appreciating right now. And so that's been a really cool journey for me as I've evolved as a business owner is, you know, of course we have things we want to accomplish. Of course we have things we want to achieve, but also not being so focused on the next play and the next thing that we're not celebrating how far we've come. And so that is something that I talk a lot about with my clients is, you know, we don't want to be so forward thinking of the next 10 to 15 years and focused on retirement, that you're not doing things with your family now. And a lot of times, you know, I think we're scared of messing up or scared of losing money. We made all this money, we don't want to blow it. And I think back to when I was 13 and my father we were out in the oil fields learning how to drive. And I was so scared I was gonna wreck his beautiful car. And he was sitting right next to me with his hand on my shoulder and he said, I'm right here. I'm not gonna let you crash the car. You're just fine, but you have to start the car. You have to drive, you have to move forward. And that's such a great analogy for getting in the financial front seat is, as long as you have great advisors and you have great people around you, they're not gonna let you crash the car, but you have to turn the key and you have to turn on the ignition and you have to go because you'll regret it if you don't.